You are listening to the Global Reality Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. This is the Monday, October 12th, 2015 edition of the show, and I'm back here broadcasting. It's good to be back with you. We really have been trying to climb out of the mud and get back up and running here. It's been a tough month and a half or so, yes, indeed, we're back here, but we're not out of the woods yet, folks. We're just running on fumes, and we've just now been able to get back up and running. We were without the means to broadcast and whatnot for a while, so we are back up here, and glad to be back with you. We've got a lot of news, a lot of stuff to cover here on the show, so we'll be getting into that very quickly here for you on this edition of the show. Thank you so much. TheGlobalReality.com is my website. That's TheGlobalReality.com. And thank you very much to all the people who contributed what you could. We really needed more people to contribute. If we would have had more people to contribute, we'd have been back up and running by now. But yeah, it's worrisome. Because here we are in the 12th of October, and this is the first time we've been able to broadcast this month due to not being able to cover operating costs. And we can't do that again this month. If that happens again this month, we're going to be completely out, and I'm going to be shit out of luck. So we've got to have your support, folks. It's just I'm not going to beat the dead horse anymore. But I've also tried to do things like having the free archives and 32K archives and all that as a service, and ask people, since I'm going to start doing that, since I did start doing that, I asked people to, make up for and contribute, but they haven't, and we've had, judging by the numbers that those listenership numbers those have gotten, there are literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people listening a month on those, and none of them are contributing anything. So if you're listening to this on the 32K archive, this is the last show on the 32K archives. If you've been getting the show for free, you won't be getting it for free anymore. That's done and over with. You're going to need to get a membership to our archives, which you can go get at my website, theglobalreality.com. The subscribe button is there on the right-hand side of the page. It's only $10 a month. If you buy out larger than that, you can even get a better deal. But, the best thing you could do is just donate $100 to, if you can afford that, donate $100 to my work. And we've got, if you donate $100, you get, we were doing like 6 months and stuff like that. But what I want to do is kind of have a little competition here, since we usually have those at the end of the month. The first person to donate $100 will receive a 1-year archive membership to the HD archives, which is normally $80, and 2 downloads from our download shop. So get on that. Donate $100 right now, and you'll get it. But yeah, you can subscribe to our member archives. That's where we're going to have to do it from now on. You can hear the show on the stream. But we're not going to be offering up free archives anymore. If you want the archives of the show and you want to hear those on demand, get yourself a membership. It's not a lot. And I've noted we were having people sign up for memberships there. The people signing up for memberships dropped off completely when we went to the 32K. And those are shit quality. I don't know how you guys are even listening to those. They're pure shit quality. You want to get a membership so you can hear this stuff exactly how it sounds when I'm broadcasting it. I mean, verbatim. It's exactly how it sounds in my headphones. And it sounds better, actually. What you're getting is actually better than what I hear in my headphones. And it's direct, from all the studio equipment and whatnot I use. I don't just broadcast my stuff through, some crappy USB microphone or something like, a lot of people out there do. No, I use all professional studio equipment because that's actually one of the things that when I first started doing radio, I had all this equipment and whatnot for recording music. And I realized, I could be putting this stuff to use for, doing a radio show and whatnot. So, I mean, I've got, the studio microphone, I've got the studio mixing board, rack mount compressor, tube microphone preamp, and it all goes into an interface, which also has other effects and processing and EQ and compressors and all that stuff. So, yes, you want to be able to hear that in the highest quality possible, and that is why you need to get yourself a membership. Subscribe on the right-hand side of the page. Get yourself one there. Hey, if you want to, we also sell a lifetime archive membership. It's like $1,000 lifetime. You'll get all the shows forever, indefinitely. But anyway, we really just, we have nothing to operate on here. I think we've got like $20 here at the network right now. And we just really, we're coming back crawling out of the mud. We need your help. Go to my website. We've got the donate button there. If you want to use a credit card, debit card, or a prepaid card, always just use the donate button at my website. That's the best way to go, because then you don't have to have a PayPal account. If you don't want to use PayPal, you can just use your card, and you can use a prepaid card as well, and you can make a contribution through there, and it'll process through PayPal and go into my account. And if you want to use PayPal, and you can use PayPal, then that's when you need to use the little banner there. And right now we have the October 2015 operating costs banner up there. That's the amount we need for the month, before the end of the month, by the end of the month, to cover our operating costs. And there's little perks in there, like the ones for the free archive memberships and different ones. Not to worry. If you contribute through the donate button and you don't contribute through the banner, just want to be clear, you will still qualify and still get the perks, even if you don't contribute through that. So they'll still apply. It's just that particular FundMe or GoFundMe or whatever it is, that particular thing only allows you to use PayPal. So that's there for that. And it also gives us a visual representation so people can go to the website and see how much we need and where we're at and track our progress. So that's why I like to have that up. But it's not the only option for contributing. Also, this is kind of our unofficial sponsor. It's might as well call it a sponsor. I mean, this is what a lot of other people do for shows. They have their sponsors or products that they sell or somebody sells. But my thing for that would be Let There Be Rocks, which is my gem mineral crystal business that I have. If you're into gems and minerals and crystals, if you're a collector, if you want to be a collector, if you like rocks, gems, minerals, crystals, jewelry, all that stuff, metaphysical purposes or just for display purposes, collecting purposes, whatever they may be, we cater to everyone at Let There Be Rocks. And I'm not afraid to tell you, we have stuff that nobody else has. I go to gem and mineral shows all the time, and it's difficult. I've been trying to get in gem and mineral shows. Last year we were doing a lot of metaphysical fairs and stuff, but those are just so hit or miss. There's no guarantee when you do those that people are going to be there to get your business. But the gem and mineral shows, man, it's a fucking racket. The people got these things on such lockdown, they're difficult to get into because it's like a clique and a club, and they're afraid of people coming in and undercutting them or whatever, I think. So you have to jump through their hoops. You have to become a member of their Gem and Mineral Society and pay their yearly dues and all this stuff. But I still go to the shows and whatnot. I haven't gone to any this year, but last year I went to a bunch, and I tell you, every time I go to, I did go to one this year. What am I talking about? I went to one just a few months ago, back in June. But And it was the same thing there. I mean, none of these shows that I've been to have like what we have. We have one-of-a-kind stuff. Very rare minerals and crystals. I mean, we have all kinds of stuff. If you don't see something you like and you're looking for something specific, let me know. I can get virtually anything. I mean, if you got the money, I can get pretty much anything there is. Artifacts, I mean, everything. We sell some artifacts. We occasionally get artifacts and whatnot in, and we have sold some. But we have one-of-a-kind jewelry pieces. We have gems, minerals, all kinds of stuff. You can get there, find our Etsy shop where we sell this stuff at. It's etsy.com/shop/Let There Be Rocks. We also have a Let There Be Rocks Facebook page as well. I think there's links on my website on the right-hand side of the page, too, to that. Anyway, if you go there and you make a purchase, that purchase stuff, that definitely goes towards helping out our efforts. And, boy, if people just went on a buying spree in there for the holidays or whatever, it could really help us out. I mean, I'm still trying to finish my newest film, The Spellcasters, but I haven't been able to even work on that because I've been just trying to survive. It's been very difficult. So I'm back here with you today, and we're broadcasting, but we're not out of the woods yet. So again, just in any way possible, you can support our work and contribute to it, folks. Please go to my website, theglobalreality.com, and do that. And YouTube as well. People are saying, well, I don't understand why you have to have operating costs if you just broadcast to YouTube. Well, see, that's another reason why the YouTube things and uploads are coming to an end too, because that's been a problem in the past. It's a double-edged sword, because people don't understand that I've since 2009 I've run an actual network with an actual stream and actual professional audio gear and high-quality audio and broadcasting out over Shoutcast. They hear a show uploaded to YouTube and they think I'm just some guy like everybody else uploading their shit to YouTube. And I'm tired of that. It's difficult to get away from that. All the people that heard Lost Book of Enki and Emerald Tablets of Thoth and all that, they thought I was just some guy uploading that stuff to YouTube. And that's not the case. That stuff, a lot of that stuff got uploaded to YouTube against my consent. But once it happens, it just, that's it. So because of the people who think that I just broadcast on YouTube, why should you support my work or help us cover operating costs? Well, guess what? Again, the one bad apple spoils it for the whole bunch. I was doing that as a service so that people could find the show more often. But again, if you're not going to support my work, then we're not going to continue to give away for free. And if you want to hear the show now, you're going to have to go buy yourself a membership. That's just the way it is. I have no other choice to do that. Otherwise, people are just flat don't. They just think it's all for free and it all costs nothing to do, and so they aren't going to pay anything. And if I don't put a value on what I do, nobody else will. That's a fact. With anything in life, if you don't value what you do and you don't value it, then nobody else is going to value it either. And by uploading stuff to YouTube for free and having 32K archives that sound like shit, that puts out the perception to people that I don't value what I do very much. And I value what I do very highly. Because it's my life. I've dedicated to it. You have not dedicated your life to doing what I do. So you can't walk a mile in my shoes, buddy. None of you. Nobody. Because very few people can do what I've done, which is to basically throw my entire life away to dedicate it to the truth and to finding the truth and the research for myself and then giving it and putting it out there in hopes that it will spur that inspiration in other people to keep digging and never stop and find the truth for themselves. Because it doesn't matter the truth I find. It matters the truth you find from the information and the truth that I have found and that other people have found. That's what matters. And I've dedicated my life and my everything to this. I have no life besides this stuff. And so, yes, you bet your bottom dollar, I value it very highly. So I'm not going to, treat my life's work like it's garbage and throwaway, giveaway crap anymore. Because if I treat it like that, other people treat it like that, and we get nowhere. So that's it. And, people are always saying to me, well, you need to have more like a community and have, blah, 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 and have a message board and a chat board. We did, I'm sorry you're late to the party. I'm sorry you missed out on the golden heydays of the global reality, but that's in the past. We won't be doing anything like that again. For what? For why? For the same old reason. A few bad apples spoil the bunch. I mean, it got to the point, folks, where I couldn't even get any work done because I was having to constantly monitor the chat rooms and for trolls and spooks. My show almost every night was getting hacked. My stream was getting hacked and taken down almost every night right at showtime. And then the trolls and the spooks would come in the chat room as we're getting hacked and say, ha, ha, ha. Fuck you, Reeves, we're taking you down. You're not going to fucking get the truth out there. Ha, ha, ha. I mean, while it's being taken down, the spooks were coming in and admitting that they were doing it all the time. And it just became counterproductive to my work. So, understand one thing. I'm not a leader of anything. People keep trying to make this thing, make it like I'm some kind of leader and they need to have some kind of, community portal or community chat room site or something where, people can congregate. That's not what I do here. And I'm not trying to be a leader of anybody or you or start my own movement and have followers under. That's not me. That's not me. I'm not a big joiner, and I'm also not interested in having people, be followers of me like some fake ass, half ass cult of personality bullshit. I mean, the cult of personality paradigm is something that I've talked about and fought against and exposed for years. So I'm definitely not interested in becoming that myself. And a lot of people think that that's what I should do. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sell snake oil, magic creams and magic potions. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sell snake oil. I'm not going to sell huckster products. I'm not going to get up here and hawk Jew gold and silver and precious metals. I mean, the gem and mineral thing is something I started doing because I had a very keen interest in that kind of stuff when I was a kid, and I got out of it as I got a little older. And then when I got into the Rockwell research, it took me right back into it because I had to go right back into learning geology and all this stuff. And I started realizing when I was out on these treks, I was getting, mineral specimens and crystals and stuff, and would go down to Llano to film, and I'd get stuff there. And I started noticing that crystals and rocks and all that stuff, they're more popular right now than they ever have been. And a lot of people who are into the metaphysical end of things and the spiritual end of things and even, the conspiracy and the research into stuff are very much into that. And I started realizing that, just through contacts and through different sources and stuff I'd found through the years of getting stuff for myself, that, I could provide people with high quality stuff for not very much money. And that's when I decided to do the Let There Be Rocks thing. So, and it's great. I love doing it. It's great to get these crystals out to people. And, all these things, they've lived with me for periods of time, before they go out. So each one of these pieces, everything we sell there it's very special. But I'm not interested in being a leader and having, this cult worship around me and my personality and my work and stuff. I've always just wanted to, I came up with this slogan many years ago on the show, and I said it and talked about the similar thing many years ago, but it's still applicable. I mean, it really is. It's still valid. And that statement is, lead no one and follow only yourself. I don't want to lead anyone. I don't want to follow anybody, and I don't want anybody following me. So lead no one. Or follow no one and lead only yourself, meaning you be the one be your own leader. I'm the leader of my own personal quest for truth and knowledge. And I don't follow anybody or anything except the information. And that's the kind of thing you need to take on. It's okay for you to follow my work and listen to my information that I put out and watch my films and support my work. That doesn't make you a follower or, a member of a cult or anything else. It just makes you a fellow individual, a fellow leader of yourself who's interested in the work that someone like you, me, is doing. And see, if we all took on that attitude, then we don't have these bullshit hierarchies anymore, do we? Because then you put everybody on an equal playing field. And I'm not talking about, the fucking bullshit equality, fucking left-wing horse shit they fucking shovel down your throat. That's not what I'm saying. What I mean is, it becomes much harder to have the hierarchy where I'm up here and you're down here. I'm the radio show host, leader, filmmaker, guy, rah, rah, rah. What I say is more important than what you say, and so you all follow me. You know what I mean? I have no interest in that. And you shouldn't have any interest in that either. But if you're a leader of your own personal, movement, John's movement or Mark's movement, the one-person army, and you're leading yourself and only following the truth and the information, then when you meet up with Tom and Bill and Jane and Jennifer and me, then you've got all these other people who are the same way as you. They're their own leader. They're leading their own person. They're following no one except the truth and the information. And then these people get together, and it's all a bunch of leaders getting together. It's nobody under anyone or anything else. And that's what I've always tried to be here. That's what I've always tried to make this with my work. I don't want it to be you following me and, this is the Josh Reeves movement. Let's get behind it. That's not what I've ever tried to do with this. I want everybody to become strong individuals, because strong individuals are the things that can never be defeated. Because then your opinions and your loyalties don't fall to left or right or to any sort of controlled paradigm or box where they can trap you. And then that becomes the most dangerous thing to the power structure that there is. Strong individuals who follow only the truth, they're only interested in finding the truth and knowledge and for themselves, being their own leader. Then no one's subservient, and that can never be taken down. Because anytime you have leaders and, and figureheads and all that stuff, somebody's always gunning to take down the big dog. That's the way it always goes. And that's why things never gain traction, never go anywhere. But if you have a bunch of like-minded people who are individuals operating on their own, that's a much more difficult thing to defeat, because then you don't have anybody feeling that they're inferior to someone else. You're not inferior to me, and I'm not inferior to anyone else. We're all strong individuals on our own right. Everyone is at different stages of development and understanding this stuff. Most of the arguments and things that happen from people getting into petty arguments and arguing over this stuff, it just comes from people being at different levels of knowledge. And unfortunately, some people that are lower levels of research and knowledge are easier taken into some of the more questionable and, bovine flatulence level theories and whatnot, we won't name any, that get floated around out there. Most of the people that buy into those things are people who they'll believe anything. And it sucks because they muddy the waters for everybody else. That's the bottom line. All right. Let's get into some news here. We got a bunch. The Celts, not quite the barbarians history would have us believe. From The Guardian. Well, of course, we know the Celts to be the same as the Amorites and whatnot, and of course, they were highly sophisticated. Funny how this is now starting to come out, but they won't come out and say, that the Celts and the Nords and the whatever, the Aryans and the Vikings, we're all essentially the same people. A farmer plowing a field near Stettensome in Norfolk in 1948 turned up what he thought was a bit of an old brass bedstead, but it was gold, not brass, which he discovered, and this was just the first piece of the richest Iron Age hoard ever discovered in Europe, including more than 200 torques and fragments of torques, neck rings made of gold, silver, and bronze. Today, the collection is in the British Museum, and earlier this year, I was lucky enough to get a close look at some of these beautiful treasures. I met European Iron Age collection curator Julia Farley in the bowels of the museum, otherwise known as the Sturge Basement. She had liberated some of the Stettensome artifacts from their glass cases up in the gallery, bringing them down to the basement stores. And now she carefully lifted each of the glittering objects out of its tray and laid it on the sheet of dark gray foam that covered the table. There were 5 almost complete torques and several fragments, including some bits of scrap metal that had been assembled on a tight loop of gold. Looking for all the world like an Iron Age bunch of keys, the color of the torques varied quite widely, from bright brassy gold to reddish gold to silver. All of them were made of alloys of gold, silver, and copper in various proportions. These alloys had been deliberately created, Julia told me, perhaps to achieve a certain color or to make the metal easier to work with. The selection ranged from some simple gold torques to the magnificently ornate great torque. So see, these are very detailed and sophisticated works of metal that the Celts were not known for. But now they're trying to associate this with Celts because, according to the official narrative of history, well, it couldn't have been anyone else. Just like they do, in South America with the, with like all those ancient sites down there that they attribute to these later groups of people that, in no way, shape, or form could have done some of this stuff. Like they attribute stuff to the Toltecs that clearly the Toltecs didn't have even the technology to do. And we continue to see this. They don't want the true knowledge of who these people were that were all over the planet way back in antiquity to come out because, again, it throws a wrench in science and it throws a wrench in religion simultaneously. And that's really what my films, The Lost Secrets of Ancient America, Volume 1 and 2, and hopefully one day 3, have set out to do. Aliens do exist, says top secret FBI memo found by UFO researchers. Boy, I tell you, Mars, aliens, asteroids, and what's the other one that's been in the news? All this stuff. There's been a lot of this stuff has been in the news lately. Aliens do exist, according to a top-secret FBI memo found by researchers into UFOs. Investigators at the Haikoi Center for UFO Research in Tokyo, Japan, claim they have discovered a document that proves there is extraterrestrial life. The FBI memo contains details about flying saucers being piloted by 3-feet-tall aliens. The Bureau is said to be concerned about the findings at the research center, fearing the discovery could lead to members of the public gaining access to thousands of documents. The FBI memo reportedly reads, an investigator for the Air Force states that the 3 so-called flying saucers had been recovered in New Mexico. They were described as being circular in shape with raised centers approximately 50 feet in diameter. Each one was occupied by 3 bodies of human shape, but only 3 feet tall, dressed in metallic cloth of a very fine texture. According to Mr. Name Blanked Out, the saucers were found in New Mexico due to the fact that the government has a very high-powered radar setup in that area that is believed that the radar interferes with the controlling mechanism of the saucers. That, whatever the details of this reportedly top-secret memo, the truth is out there. That's the fucking original. That's just the original Roswell memo is all that is. That's not fucking breaking news, idiots. So a bunch of people in Japan found the original Roswell documents before they came out the following day and said, oh, never mind, we changed that story and redacted it and said it was a weather balloon. That's all that is. That's been out there for years. I knew it was feeling familiar when I was reading it, but when I got to the part where it says the saucers were found in New Mexico due to the fact that the government has a very high-powered radar set up, blah, blah. Well, yeah, because that was the original story of why they crashed. Was because of the government radar in the area messing with them or something, but I don't know. I mean, that just always sounds kind of hokey to me. They made it all the way to Earth only to be foiled by our primitive radar technology. I don't know about all that. But again, it shows you this operation and this continued just 180 of the original, what they've been doing for 50 plus years, telling us, oh, aliens aren't real. You're stupid if you believe they're real. If you believe in UFOs, aliens, abductions, you're a kook and a crazy and a nut. Now, all of a sudden, they're so desperate to have a story out about aliens and UFOs that they'll run some story about some Japanese research center finding, we've known about that information for decades. That was what they originally reported and was the original report for what was found at Roswell, the crash in 47. I mean, to a T, that's it. That's all it takes now, huh? Just roll out some old Roswell stuff and claim it's a new find and gets people's dicks hard. China enters the search for alien life with the construction of the world's biggest radio telescope. I saw this last week, and I wondered, I thought to myself, well, this, there could only really be doing a few things with this. I think this is a total cover. And of course, all the UFO researchers and alien researchers will be jumping all over this, and their dicks will be getting hard, and, they're going to use this to find aliens now. Bullshit. Arecibo and all of those in Arecibo in Puerto Rico. This is not being constructed to search for alien life. You think, this is old technology. We're going to construct some massive ancient technology radio telescope in 2015 to search for extraterrestrials? Horseshit. Who's building this thing? China. What is China? China is the world's leader in what? Well, besides, pollution and crap and people and everything. But besides all those other things, what else is China? They are the world's number one producer of weather modification technology. They have been inducing weather modification for years. These systems, like Arecibo, which is also built and operated in the Dominican Republic under the guise of being a radio telescope they use for searching for extraterrestrial life. Bullshit. This is designed to work in conjunction with other ionospheric heating systems like HAARP and others, and it's used to blast the ionosphere with waves and used for weather modification. But they even get conspiracy theorists and researchers to go to sleep by just putting an article out saying, oh, now China's building something to look for aliens. Ooh, and then it gets everybody all excited. Yeah, that's what they do to sell it to you. You think they just have narratives and whatnot to explain stuff away to the general public. No, they have narratives created now to make alternative news sources and alternative researchers go to sleep as well. And just throw an alien tagline on it, and that's all you got to do. People just go to sleep. They don't care that it's going to be used for something well other than just that. The families of 3 Northport High School students who died after being hypnotized by former principal George Kenny, I remember reading this a couple of years ago, will receive $200,000 each from Sarasota County School Districts, are under a settlement agreement unanimously approved by the school board. The $600,000 settlement closes a bizarre years-long case that began after former Northport High School principal Kenny admitted that he hypnotized 16-year-old Wesley McKinley a day before the teenager killed himself in April 2011. A subsequent investigation found that Kinney hypnotized as many as 75 students, staff members, and others from 2006 until McKinley's death in 2011. One basketball player at the school said Kinney hypnotized him 30 to 40 times to improve his concentration. And that's the end of the article. And I've, been trying for the past several years to find any more information on this. This is a bizarre story. And even that just ends it. Oh, we settled it. So let me get this straight. The school board paid out $600,000. You had 3 people die? Somebody goes and shoots up a school and 2 people get killed and they're freaking out. This guy hypnotized by his own admission as many as 75 students, staff members, and other people. Why? Why was he hypnotizing these people? And why did it take the death of 3 people before anybody did anything about it? I mean, you want to talk about mind and control in schools, folks. It's gone well past the curriculum at this point. And where else is this going on that we're not hearing about? This is shady as fuck. And the fact that there's not really much info on it, 10 to 1, that guy is probably a Freemason or an OTO member or something, or a Scientologist, who knows? Oh, geez, here we go. Look, let me just put this to an end for some of you people out there that may be thinking. It is Columbus Day after all, so I guess we should talk a little bit about these, the fact that people were here for, civilizations were falling and rising for thousands and thousands of years prior to the arrival of Columbus, of course. But I'll tell you, in all my research into these ancient stuff, the one that drives me nuts that certain people latch onto is this whole belief that the Chinese were in the United States in the ancient times. And I have to tell you, from all my research, I find that to be absolute bunkum, absolute horseshit. What you had were people who had been, these nomadic people, these Amorites again, who had been in all lands all over the place and had been seeding cultures in various lands. And because they didn't want to leave a trail behind them, allowing people to know that they were responsible for all these, the symbols took on different forms, and sometimes they were similar. But the reason why you find these artifacts scattered throughout the United States has nothing to do with, ancient Chinese coming here. It's the fact that the ancients that were here in the United States were responsible for seeding the cultures in China and setting up the languages and giving them culture, same as they were everywhere else, from, as we talked about earlier, the Celts and the Nords and on and on and on. So it's one of the things I hear people, they're Chinese. Well, it might have been Chinese. No. You're not seeing the forest for the trees. Enigmatic artifact, possibly Chinese bidis, found in a Kentucky garden. And I've been to Kentucky, and definitely the Amorites that I've been on the trail of, which would be these later descendants, half human descendants of the Anunnaki. They were definitely in that area. It was just lying there, the finder explained as he recalled the moment and the previous 2 years of inquiries to understand what it was, along with his frustration of not knowing how it ended up in his garden. Afterwards, and with a look on his face that he expected me to have all the answers, he asked, "How do you think it got here?" As with other such Chinese in appearance artifacts found in North America without supporting contextual information, I can only respond that there are multiple possible explanations. A more informative answer came from the Burke Museum in Washington State, responding to the finder's earlier inquiry and photograph, paraphrasing, "We don't know what it is, but similar objects have been found on the west coast of Mexico, and it should not have been found in your part of the country." Other responses, also based upon photographs from universities, art dealers, and museums, are equally inconclusive. Some thought it was a 20th century fraud, others didn't know, and one based on personal inspection thought it to be authentic. Until it is subjected to rigorous examination, authenticity remains unknown. Well, of course, they're going to say that's anytime they get anything that they can't explain or something that's out of context of where it should be, according to the official narratives, they'll just say, well, it's probably fake. Or, we don't know what it is, so let's just destroy it. That's the Smithsonian's attitude. Anytime the Smithsonian finds any artifacts with any languages they can't study, instead of bringing that to the top of their priority list and saying, hey, let's study this. This is a language we've never come across. Maybe we can find something in this that'll dovetail with other stuff that's been found. No, they just say, well, we don't know what it is, so destroy it. They've dumped dump trucks of artifacts into the Atlantic Ocean, folks, just to keep you and I from getting our grubby little paws on it and fucking up their comfortable little narrative. And that's what I live to do, is to fuck up your comfortable little narrative. Antikythera shipwreck yields more treasures. You all are familiar with the Antikythera mechanism, of course, I hope. Another Amorite-related piece of gear. A clockwork device that predates all human-made clockwork devices with gears that, to this day, accurately tracks the movements of the stars. And they've gone back there trying to find more things. And the Amorites were there in that exact area off the coast of Crete. They had a very large stronghold there. So all the information points in the direction that the Antikythera shipwreck was one of these vessels that the Amorites, who were migrating all over the world and taking indigenous people and giving them culture and knowledge and basically seeding their entire cultures. This was one of the ships that they were traveling in. The ancient Antikythera shipwreck, a lavish Greek vessel that sank more than 2,000 years ago off the southwestern Aegean island of the same name, isn't finished giving up its secrets. The shipwreck was found by Greek sponge fishermen in 1900. Over the past century, marine archaeologists have recovered marble and bronze statues and sculptures from the wreck, along with an odd clock-like device that some call the world's oldest computer. Now, an international team of archaeologists have recovered even more treasures, a trove of more than 50 items, including a bronze armrest, remains of a bone flute, fine glassware, luxury ceramics, a pawn from an ancient board game, and several pieces of the ship itself. The researchers believe the new findings offer a glimpse into the opulent lifestyles of ancient Greece's elite societies. These artifacts show us the life of a newly emerging elite in Greece and Rome, with enormous wealth distributed among a larger elite than ever before in history. But they don't really say, what else they've found. Nothing. Anything that we just lucked out with the Antikythera mechanism. We lucked out that thing was found as far back in history as it was. Because back then, there wasn't as much of a, worldwide cover-up campaign going on like there is now. I mean, the Smithsonian Institute, folks, this is an American institution that, by the way, contrary to popular belief, is not actually controlled by the government. People believe the Smithsonian Institute is controlled and ran by the federal government because the museum is. The Smithsonian Institute itself is a non-federally controlled. It's basically the exact same as the Federal Reserve. It's a private, run-for-profit group that gets funding from international interests. The interests that fund the Smithsonian Institute are not even, for the majority of it, American-based. But yet we're led to believe the Smithsonian Institute is a, by the people, for the people, American people institution, and that's just not the facts. They have offices virtually everywhere on the planet, folks, to where if any artifacts are found anywhere on the planet, they can have their people dispatched out there in almost no time. So if anything was found like the Antikythera mechanism today, and I'm sure there probably has been things, and even crazier than that, found, we wouldn't even hear about it. They'd just be whisked away and, stored in some Indiana Jones style bunker somewhere. But luckily that thing was found so far back in antiquity, I guess, I don't know exactly when it was found, 1900s? But since it was found back then and so many people have written about it and it's so well known, they weren't able to sweep that one under the rug, and boy, they wish they could. Because again, what's it do? It fucks up that narrative, doesn't it? Who could have had something that sophisticated that many years before humans were even close to having? See, these are the questions they never want you to be able to ask. They just assume you never have that question. Oh, here's a fucking newsflash for you. Tom Petty has revealed that he was addicted to heroin in the 1990s and returning to the drug following the split from his first wife. Wow. Big fucking shocker there. I love Tom Petty. Don't get me wrong. I fucking love him. But come on. I remember telling people back in the day, that motherfucker is strung out on fucking heroin. Oh, no, he's just a gangly, weird-looking guy. That's just what... No, dude. No. Your teeth don't rot out like that just from, normal life. The motherfucker had heroin teeth in I don't know how many videos and everything else I saw. And he says, and this is the other thing I call bullshit on, he's like, oh, he didn't ever talk about it because he didn't want other people doing it like he did. He didn't want to set a bad example for young people. Bullshit. If you didn't want to set a bad example for young people, you wouldn't have talked about smoking pot in all of your songs. And you know what I'm saying? He didn't give it. Tom Petty didn't even give two shits about. I mean, not only that, but I mean, I love Tom Petty. He's popular, but how many young people out there do you think have ever been like, oh, Tom Petty did that, so I'm going to go and do it? Tom Petty's not really one of those. You know what I'm saying? He's not a Britney or a fucking whatever kind of, that level of pop star or, what's the lizard queen bitch's name that has a dick and a lizard tail? Fucking Taylor Swift. Tom Petty's not really, even in his young days and his height, was not somebody who, the youth was gonna mimic her. He's not, he's not Johnny Rotten. He's not fucking, Gene Simmons. So I that bullshit thing of, I didn't want to influence people. No, the real truth of it is, he had a bass player, Howie Epstein, I think. He had a bass player who they kicked out of the band for being a junkie who died shortly after. And him and Tom were heroin buddies back then. So they didn't want the bad publicity of this guy, their bass player, being a heroin addict and dying, being reflected on Tom. That's what it was. So they kept it under the rug. But man, I mean, come on. I've been a Tom Petty fan my whole life, but even I had, was that dude's on fucking heroin. Anyway, I just thought that was funny that somehow they tried to pass that off on us. Like we all didn't know fucking Tom Petty was on heroin all these years. Come on. Advanced aliens could conquer and colonize our planet, warned Stephen Hawking. Well, there's old Stephen Hawking again. Scaring up the hostile alien stuff. I got to tell you, I've been seeing, there's been, over the past year or two, there's been a real rash of stuff that supposedly it seems to me that Stephen Hawking all of a sudden has kind of went from being this, like, very brilliant. Of course, we know his condition and whatnot, speaking with a computer and all that. But it just seems like he's gone from being Stephen Hawking to all of a sudden the past couple of years, all of a sudden he's fucking Mr. Motormouth. Anybody else with me think there's something a little suspect about that? How do we fucking know it's even him saying it? How do we know some alphabet agency didn't hack his voice computer? Aliens are going to come and get us. I'm going to shit on your face. Aliens will come and shit on you and you won't be able to do anything about it. I'm Stephen Hawking, believe me. I mean, really, seriously, how do we know it's him saying this shit? Because he seems rather odd to me that he's gone from being just this astute, compared with Einstein-level brain, and all of a sudden, every other week, he's popping off about aliens, and something just stinks to high heaven about this. Stephen Hawking has tackled the mysteries of the universe his entire life. Now the world-renowned scientist has some new things to say about a potential alien invasion.
If aliens visit us, the outcome could be much like when Columbus landed in America, which did not turn out too well for the Native Americans.
Professor Hawking told El Pais.
Such advanced aliens would perhaps become nomads, looking to conquer and colonize whatever planets they can reach. To my mathematical brain, the numbers alone make thinking about aliens perfectly rational. The real challenge is to work out what aliens might actually be like. There's an increasing risk that a disaster will destroy Earth. I therefore want to raise public awareness about the importance of spaceflight. I have learned not to look too far ahead, but to concentrate on the present. I have so much more I want to do.
Thank you, Mr. fucking Speak and Spell. And that's another thing. Technology's gotten a lot better, especially the voice. Why do they still have fucking Stephen Hawking talking through a goddamn Speak and Spell? Like it's 1983. What the fuck is up? We can seriously, all the money in the world, and this guy is still talking through a fucking Speak and Spell? Something just doesn't seem right about that. Get the man. You can't tell me in 2015 you couldn't get Stephen Hawking a better voice processor thing. Hell, I could get better voice processors than that myself.
But yet they still have me on the old Speak and Spell.
The Speak and Spell thing must be easier to hack, is what I'm thinking. It's easier to hack, so it's old text. No, don't fuck it, dude. Don't give him an upgrade. Fuck that shit. If you give him an upgrade, it'll be harder for us to hack. I gotta think that's what it is, you know? Otherwise, why not give the guy a fucking upgrade? Jeez. It's not right. It's not right, I tell you, not right. I don't know. I'm taking all this stuff. All of a sudden, it just seems odd to me that somebody like that would go from not being a fearmonger, always really being pretty positive, to all of a sudden he's just in the news every other week and it's always he's fear-mongering something. I got to tell you, I'm real suspect about it. I mean, really, seriously, couldn't a hacker or somebody, you can't tell me, think about how sophisticated the CIA technology and all this stuff is, how sophisticated it was 20, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. I mean, they could just as easily, like, say, oh, yes, here it is. We have, Stephen Hawking's going to give you an interview. And then the person on the phone is hearing,
hello, this is Stephen Hawking. I'm going to tell you that aliens are hostile and want to kill us. This is my Speak and Spell.
And the fucking person on the other end's not going to fucking know. They hear the Speak and Spell voice sitting. It's fucking him, right? I don't know, man. Something just... It's one of those things, one of those things you can't prove, but you just know in your gut. That's how I feel about that. Here's an article from phys.org. Using ancient DNA, researchers unravel the mystery of Makka Picchu. Really? I can't wait to hear this. Y'all figured it out, huh? And not only have you figured it out, but you're going to graciously let us onto it. Well, I don't know. I think I'd sooner believe in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny than that. Dramatically perched on an Andes mountain ridge some 8,000 feet above sea level in Peru, Makka Picchu is a visual wonder and a technical masterpiece. The Inca built the site's 15th century ruins without mortar. The Incas didn't fucking build that shit. If you think the Incas... See, I'm not even going any farther with this. If you're still touting the old line that the Incas built Makka Picchu, think about it. Look, you can see where... Number one, the Incas never claimed they built any of those things. The Inca themselves always said that those sites were built by their ancestors who came before them. that they were the progeny of. And when you see, there are photographs you can see, and you can see these sites yourself, where the Incas went back and they filled in some of the damaged sites. And the Incas used all this primitive rock and, unsophisticated crap to just fill in the spots. Now, why would they do that if they had the ability to build those structures like they did in the first place? Why would they just go fill it with primitive rocks? Because they didn't build those sites in the first place. And I'm not going to waste my breath and my time reading some article that's going to purport to be the end-all, be-all truth about Makka Picchu, and then start out with the Incas built it. Give me a flying fuck break. Thank you. Well, and again, the robots and the AI stuff, that's in the news a lot lately. This stuff's coming, man. Ray Kurzweil, Mr. fucking Singularity himself. Ray Kurzweil says, in the 2030s, nanobots in our brains will make us godlike. Nanobots in our brains by the 2030s and will make us godlike. Once we're cyborgs, he says, we'll be funnier, sexier, more loving. And that dovetails right with the target date for when they want to go to Mars. And, I talked about over the past several weeks all this Mars crap that's been going on and the time with the Martian. And, I think the guy really gets forgotten about. And I think I put this in one of my documentaries, but I always like to bring this up because I know several weeks ago I talked about, why is it that they want to get to Mars so bad? What is it about Mars? Because people say, they want to colonize or they want to create, they know Earth's dying, so they want to go and create an off-Earth world there, whatever have you. And I've always said that it's because, they want to look for the same, artifacts. They're looking for, again, remnants of Anunnaki. We know from the ancient texts they were there. They were on Mars. The face on Mars is talked about in the ancient texts about how it was there to commemorate one of the Agigi workers that died. And so they constructed the face on Mars as a tribute to him, pointing up to the heavens so that he would be seen for all times. And that was constructed right on the 33rd degree parallel on Mars, on the location of Mars known as Cydonia, where there are also ziggurat-style pyramids. And, of course, ancient Sumeria on the 33rd degree parallel, where the Anunnaki first came down and set up civilization. That area prior to that was also known as Cydonia, also on the 33rd degree parallel. And so when we see, wars being created in the Middle East so that these antiquities can be looted from ancient sites in ancient Iraq and the Middle East, and then we think about these same type of symbols and symbology of these sites being found on Mars, it stands to reason that they want to go to Mars to look for something. There's something they think is there, or they know is there, that ties into these other artifacts of these same civilizations on Earth, so they want to go there and find it. Now, I know to some people that may seem contentious or unprovable, but if you've never seen this, and I'll try to post a picture of this in our Global Reality Facebook page later on so you can see it. I think you can type Boeing Enterprise mission Mars and find this. Boeing Enterprise mission Mars poster. But this is, I don't know how many years old this is, 10, 15 years old at this point, 20 years old maybe. But Boeing produced a poster, and Boeing, I don't have to tell you about them. Boeing produced a poster for a proposed Mars mission many, many years ago. And this is one of my favorite pieces of proof to show people when I tell them, look, this is why they're going to Mars. They want to go to Mars for the same reasons why they wanted to go to war and get to Iraq and get the artifacts there. And they told you this, and how do I know this? This is not my opinion. How do I know it's not my opinion? Because they fucking told you in this poster they created, that Boeing created and put out, which shows clearly, ladies and gentlemen, astronauts on Mars standing in front of what appears to be Sumerian-style ruins on Mars. I kid you not. If you haven't seen this, it'll blow your mind. And to top it all off, to put the cherry on top, they even put a quote by George Bush at the bottom of this. And we know Bush Sr. was very much behind getting a trip to Mars. And, of course, upon the second term of George W. Bush, the first thing he doesn't go and give a speech about the economy or anything else. The first thing he does is goes and gives a speech about how he is dedicated on getting us to Mars. Not terrorism or 9/11 or any of this, but Mars. Why Mars? Because it is humanity's destiny to strive, to seek, to find. And because it is America's destiny to lead. George Bush. Why Mars? Because it is humanity's destiny to strive, to seek, to find, and because it is America's destiny to lead. George Bush. So right there, they're declaring that this is somehow a part of America's destiny to be able to get to Mars and discover these ancient ruins and these ancient artifacts before somebody else does. To me, this is all you need to know as far as what the reasons are behind all this Mars crap. It's an unbelievable picture. The first time I saw it, I literally had to go wipe. Because there it is. It's, two astronauts, and they're coming over this hill, and boom, it looks like ruins, like Sumerian-style ruins, like stuff you see from ancient Babylon and the ancient Middle East. Clearly. So, again, this may be an old poster, but Boeing gave away back then what the true mission, and that mission has not changed. Same reason why they want to, they're all interested in the moon again, all of a sudden. Speaking of the moon, Earth's gravitational pull is massaging the moon, opening up faults in the lunar crust, researchers say. Just as the moon's gravitational pull causes seas and lakes to rise and fall as tides on Earth, the Earth exerts tidal forces on the moon. Scientists have known about this for a while, but now they found that the Earth's pull actually opens up faults on the moon. Yes, of course. So I think this is all still part of the sort of the mystery and the unknowns concerning gravity and gravitational pull and how it relates to the sun and the earth and the rest of it. I mean, you see that these stuff like the moon, and it seems that the earth and maybe even some of our planets were put, artificially into their orbit by someone or some great power. And so that's where you start to see these anomalous things happen. I think that's definitely part of the continued cover-up. Let's see what else we got here. Apple has bought 2 artificial intelligence companies in 4 days. I'm telling you, folks, this stuff it's getting scary. It's going to be here. We are going to be living in a artificially intelligent controlled robot world sooner than you will know it. And in many ways, we really already are and have been for quite some time. It's just not been as overt as it's going to be in the coming decade. Apple's on a buying spree as it ramps up efforts in the tech industry's latest arms race, artificial intelligence. Bloomberg reports that Apple has bought Perceptio, a company that makes image recognition technology for smartphones, its second AI deal in 4 days. Perceptio was developing deep learning technology for smartphones that allowed phones to independently identify images without relying on external library. And, of course, all this AI integration into smartphones. Why are they trying to integrate artificial intelligence into smartphones first and as quickly as they are? Why not use that technology towards figuring out global hunger problems or, non-destructive population reduction scenarios. There's a gazillion things and applications you could think of. Why would they be applying those to smartphones first? Of course, for no other reason than to further track, trace, and to get every part of you and your life connected to the grid. That's, the stuff Kurzweil's talking about with the, becoming living gods and the brain chips and stuff. Phones and computers and all this stuff, this is how they are slowly easing us into it. So they couldn't just dump this stuff all. It's, they have the technology. If they really wanted to unleash all this stuff and have humans merge with machines, we could do it right now. But they have a greater chance of success if they slowly acclimate people to it. The whole the boiling frog analogy. If you stick a frog in a pot of boiling hot water, what's it going to do? It's going to jump out. But you put it in the warm water and you slowly turn the heat up slower and slower and slower. As you're gradually turning up, it doesn't even know it's cooked. It's cooking until it's cooked. And that's a great analogy for what they're doing with all this technology and AI stuff. They're slowly integrating it so they don't scare people off of it and have a revolt. New Google parent company drops "Don't be evil" motto. A far cry from the golden rule dreamed up by its company founders. Yeah, well, Google, now known as Alphabet, has ditched motto from its real book. So Google is now known as Alphabet? I didn't get that memo. That's hilarious. So let me get this straight. Google gets taken over by the NSA, which is also known as one of the alphabet agencies, correct? And then after they're taken over by the NSA, and the NSA merges their echelon surveillance systems with Google, Google then changes their name to Alphabet. That's a little in your face. So I think that's hilarious. So the "Don't be evil" motto is gone from Google because, of course, now they're Alphabet and they're an alphabet agency, and their whole agenda is evil. That's fucking rich. Tell you what. All right, well, we're going to leave it there for this edition of the show. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. TheGlobalReality.com is my website. Again, folks, we could use some help. We could use about $100 in there. Go and make a contribution now and help us out. TheGlobalReality.com. Support our work any way you can, folks. We'll see you next time. Take care.